I would like to call to order the February 5th, 2026 Town of Cicero Park Board meeting. Would the Vice President please do roll call?
Dan Strong.
Present.
Clayton Bell.
Present.
Susan Sparks. Present. Amy Wolf. Present. Mary Devlin. Present.
Very good. We do have a quorum.
We do.
Moving on to the approval of the agenda. Has anybody had time to review? Does anything need added?
I would like to add in the miscellaneous date. I would like to add in the miscellaneous business update from myself for the 2025 year.
I would entertain a motion to add 2025 updates.
I so move. I second.
Very good.
Dan Strong, all second.
We will add the 2025 updates under miscellaneous.
Oh, she did. Sorry, I didn't hear.
You're gonna do this. You want to add this one too? With that, I would entertain a motion to approve the agenda as amended.
I second. Oh, I so move, sorry. I second.
Very good. The agenda is approved. If everybody's had time to review, I would entertain a motion to approve our prior minutes.
I so move. I'll second.
Very good. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Very good. That is approved. Moving on to old business. Gas tank update and pump replacement.
The gas tank process is coming along very nicely. The tank is in the ground. It's got about 2,000 gallons of fuel in the tank. The pumps have been reinstalled on the docks. Most of the dirt work has been done, and they got a little bit of work to do left into the building to tie the software program in with the alarm system and things for the different alerts that will attach itself to the tank. Then the only other thing we got left is to seed and do rehab in the area where they tore up a lot of the ground and things like that. There's a small area of concrete work that will have to be done once the weather breaks in what I call the upper level seating area, where we abandoned what was technically the transition sump area. The new sump area has now been moved out into the grass. So we will change that, and we'll get that concrete done when the weather permits and be up and running.
Very good. Grant opportunities, Amy Shanklin.
Dan, is that something you want to comment on or speak to?
I'll go right ahead and I'll chime in as needed.
Okay. The town did, I think you all know, agree to retain Amy Shanklin and the contract services for her grant writing. Dan and I have met with her a couple of times recently, as recent as Monday, and had a very productive meeting and conversation, and we've decided that we are going to pursue at least three different grant opportunities. All three of these are what we consider a no-match grant opportunity, so we don't have to have funding to go with them. One of them will be to pursue some of the funding that we talked about for the flagpole conversation out at Red Bridge that I've talked about. Another one will be to replace the downtown trash cans, flower pots, and trash cans, flower pots,
Benches.
and add benches to the downtown area, as well as a couple of tables that we can put over at the Pocket Park if we're awarded the grant. Again, that's a no-match grant. I've got to get a couple of letters of support from business owners, and we've got to solicit some letters of support, but that's all well underway, and we should apply for that in the next couple of weeks. I believe she gave a time frame that has to be done by the end of February or sometime the last week of February. There's another grant that the third grant opportunity is for trailhead and trail improvements. And we're looking at that grant also for an extension of the trail at Community Park near the ball fields. So more to come on that, but all three of those are grants that require no match, and so we decided to proceed with those. We've talked extensively about applying for the LWCF grant when it comes up again and some other things. So I'm sure we'll have monthly updates as we go on the grant process, and hope to have a update for you at the next meeting on the arts grants that we applied for, both the parks and Friends of the Park.
May I ask what the deadline is on getting an answer after she does the applications?
Do we have a timeline on?
The timeline on the grants. If you're awarded one, what's the timeline?
I don't know an
Oh.
exact timeline, but I think they're pretty quick turnaround
Oh,
time.
good.
One is through, I didn't bring the names of them with me, but one is all three grants should, I think, make relatively quick turnaround and responses back.
Great.
Is that fair, Dan?
No, I think that's a fair statement.
Okay.
She was really excited and brought a lot of grants forward, and a very enlightening conversation about all the opportunities that exist. And, you know, the timelines and things, and some of them, these were the ones that were available in the spring that had to be turned around fairly quickly at this point. Like Superintendent Hunter said, by the end of February, some of these had to be in the works for us to have those opportunities. But it'll be exciting to see how they go, and hopefully we'll get a few of these grants and start things in the right directions from this board that we've been looking for opportunities for.
I understand they're no match, but are any of them reimbursement grants? Or we'll front the money? No? Okay. Very good. Tree cutting at Red Bridge Park.
The tree that I've been waiting to get cut down since May of last spring when the storm came through will be cut down over the next couple of days. He came in this afternoon and is ready to mobilize first thing in the morning, so hopefully by the time the weekend's over, that tree will be down and gone and cleaned up.
What service do you use for that? I was just curious.
While he looks, I just want to publicly thank the Parks Department employees, because I know once the tree is down, they will be assisting in the removal of the wood. So thank you for your staff for being willing to jump in and assist with that.
Yeah, I think that's a savings to the town of roughly $4,000, I think, that Superintendent Hunter shared with us, so.
Yeah.
That's okay if it's fine.
It's Altair Tree Services. ALTHERR Tree Services.
Very good. Drainage project at Red Bridge Park.
Not a whole lot to update you on there. The drain under the parking lot is in and the boring is done. Part of the work out by the lake edge has been seeded and strawed, and we'll have to do more remediation there in the spring. We still have to add the drainage lines on the west side of the building, but my staff will work on that here. If the weather ever straightens up, we'll take a day or two and we'll have that done, but that still remains, that needs to be done.
library property discussion.
Dan, would you like to elaborate on that, or Dennis, or somebody besides me?
Well, I think we had a very good discussion in regards to the potential of acquiring the property where the gazebo is located. And I think we worked through some of the specifics of, you know, how the mowing got taken care of, who was going to take care of landscaping and some of those things along it, and even the possibility of potentially, you know, being able to pick up a little bit bigger piece of the property via a lease or maybe replatting or something. So, but I think it was a good discussion, continues to move forward, and if everything can get put together, I think that this will be a nice piece of property for the Parks Department in the future. And I think the library board was very excited about it, as we are, of having the opportunity that they can benefit from it as part of the library, and also assisting the town to having a nicer space for the Parks Department as well.
I would agree. Yeah, on the library board side of it, they're quite motivated to make something work out, so.
Is there a deadline on this to take place?
We don't have a set deadline, but I think the mentality for both sides, or both the town and for the library, is the sooner the better, so that we can begin the mowing and the maintenance and upkeep as the spring weather changes. I did speak with the town attorney this week, and he's still waiting on a couple of clarifications on the legal side as to the bond and the board of directors and things like that. So hopefully we'll have that update real soon and be able to move forward.
And no surprise to anyone if this all materializes, Superintendent Hunter is already working with his team to figure out how to make that look very nice, as well as to do some potential upgrades to the gazebo and what that might look like over the near future. So I think we're all fairly excited and optimistic that this will still go through, and this will be a nice benefit for the community, as well as hopefully it will bring some additional business to the library when people are visiting that area.
Very good. The amendment of bylaws to reflect town ordinance.
I don't have an update for you that I can give you at this time. Mr. Culp and I had two different engagements scheduled to do lunch and to discuss those two items and the farmer's market alcohol for 21-26 were both on the topic for those discussions. And so we'll have to leave those now, and we'll address them again next month.
Very good. For those that may be watching, the farmer's market alcohol was, we allowed it 2025, and we're just confirming if that follows into 26 or anything that may need to be done to allow it. Very good. I am showing no items under new business for tonight, so I will move on to miscellaneous, starting with the 2025 updates.
Okay. I passed out several documents to you a few minutes ago, and I don't think I did this last year, at least not in this detail, but these documents represent most of what we did and what we accomplished in 2025. I'll just go through them and try to be as quick as possible. This will substantially be the same update that I give to the council next week at the retreat. And if you folks have any feedback or questions as we go, please stop me and we'll talk about it, or I'll try to clarify. But in 2025, at the ball fields, we had more than 160 yards of concrete poured at the ball fields. 100 yards of this was donated by SRM Concrete, and all of the labor by Elbert Concrete was donated. This saved the town or the Parks Department more than $80,000 was truly an awesome project and a wonderful accomplishment. If you've been to the ballparks, or haven't been down there, I would encourage you to go look at it, because it truly made a big impact. We built a fence along the Stringtown Pike ball fields. My staff did this at a cost of less than $5,000. We replaced all the toilets in the bathrooms at the ball fields. This was done because the ones we had were low-quality toilets that were 20-plus years old, and we had several major leaks throughout the years. The new toilets are still residential grade, but they're high flow and flush much better. That was done at a cost of approximately $3,200. Those toilets were discounted by the vendor, and also Elite Plumbing helped us to get that discount. The installation was very involved and required lots of grinding on the concrete floors, but that was all done by my staff, saving us lots of money. We spent several days this year working on the stone path around the ball fields. We graded and stoned the entire path. We got approximately 32 concrete bin blocks donated for use at the ball fields. We will be making 3 different bins for storage. We'll store the field mix and the mulch and gravel in all separate bins, and no longer have to have that at various parking lots or in the grass and yard areas. We only paid for the delivery of those bin blocks, which took 3 semi-loads to do, so we only had to pay the actual delivery driver. And I think that number was about $250 per load. My staff, along with the employees, town employees, set those all in place using the heavy equipment. And we're gonna try this year to pour concrete floors in those areas, which will be very nice for us in the future in storing our stone and mulch and field mix. We installed parking curbs at the ball fields in the gravel lot. This allowed us to take away all the wooden utility poles and overall clean up the lot and make it a lot nicer. At Red Bridge Park, we started the gas tank replacement in late fall, and we're about to wrap that project up. For the most part, the project has gone very well. Seeding and landscape repairs will come in the spring. We will begin the process of grant reimbursement with IDEM this week. I don't know if you remember, but when we agreed to do the gas tank replacement, we were awarded a grant for a partial part of the tank removal process, and so we'll begin that process this week and filing some of the paperwork. I hope to get that reimbursement back within just a few months. The drainage project to prevent flooding in the building, we started that late in the year, and we're still working to complete it as weather permits. We were given up to $27,000 by the Drainage Board, and we're expecting to complete that project at $24,000 or less. We had to cut down a couple of trees in Red Bridge this year due to the storm damage, but my staff did most of the work to minimize cost. We added and replaced 100 plus parking curbs in Red Bridge Park this year. These were donated by Macquarie Concrete out of Tipton. I would estimate that savings or donation to be an $8,000 donation, and the labor to install was done by my staff. We opened the new dog park in the early spring, and we added approximately 5 additional parking spaces on the east side of the dog park. We will continue to seed and fertilize and continue improvements on that area. On the trails.
I have a quick question.
Yes.
Is the dog park in Red Bridge or Community Park?
Community Park.
Oh, okay. It was just under the Red Bridge section.
I am terribly sorry.
No, that's okay.
I will change that before my meeting next week. I need a professional typing person, and I don't have that right now. This document is completely owned by me. So, we'll go to the trail section for a minute. We seeded and will continue to work on the Tollgate Road Trail. That was paved last fall, and we seeded it at that time, but we seeded it again this year, and we continue to do a little bit of work on there. But that trail's in much better condition now than it was as far as the landscaping and the seeding along the side. We paved the path from the outside my office, north and around the curve up to near the shelter area. We did that early summer before July 4th. And then we made several repairs along the Stringtown Trail this summer and spent just a little over $7,000 making several repairs to that path. We also paved a path later in the summer from the restroom facilities up north, going straight north toward the shelter, which is what my people refer to as the old road bed. In Community Park, we painted the shelter, structure, and roof. Barrycom got the internet installed at the north end of the park, which gives us internet access and public access, and the public access to free Wi-Fi. Vendors can now use that Wi-Fi during festivals and the farmers market. We added 6 more cameras at the north end of the park, so now we have good coverage of the shelter, the parking area, and the entire north area of the park. We made some more improvements to the electrical work in the park over the summer for our vendors and our festivals. We also bought several cords and junction boxes for the vendor funds over the July 4th festival. And now these cords and junction boxes that we bought, we are able to use those at both of the parks. We did use them extensively during the Haunted Trail to provide electricity more remotely away from the building and things like that. So money well spent, and I think they'll be well used in the future. We added gravel and stone at the north end of the park near the shelter. We did that throughout the summer to make that area nicer and more effective for the vendors coming in and out, and the food trucks, things like that during the farmers market. Generally, not necessarily attached to Red Bridge or to the parks, but generally for the town. We received a donation of large flower pots from Clay Terrace Shopping Center. We brought them back here and painted them, and we will use them throughout the town in 2026. My staff spent many hours this year installing the televisions and electronics in the town hall. We also did quite a bit of cleanup and rehab from the sidewalk project, and we rebuilt the wooden flower box outside the building here. We spent a considerable amount of time working on the windows here at the town hall, reglazing, caulking, and painting all the lower level windows. We installed parking curbs at the downtown parking lot also, and they were donated from Macquarie Concrete. We spent many hours in the Park in the spring to rehab that area after the house was tore down. We will continue to work on that. We've got seed we're just waiting to put out.
So Superintendent Hunter, before you move off of there, so in item number 2, I think, that you also did the wiring and electronics and some of those things at Red Bridge Park also in the community building with cameras and things out there also to note. But then I also want to thank you on behalf of myself and for the town for your willingness to assist anytime that we have projects and things that need being done outside of the park, and you're willing to assist with those, and your crew's expertise in helping get those done. I know I've asked you to assist with things numerous times, and you're always the first to jump up and help with those, and I just want to say thank you very much to you and staff for that.
Thank you. On the 3rd page, the Friends of the Park. I thought it was important to at least make this statement, and we'll go from there. Quite honestly, this group is a very awesome group. They work very hard throughout the year to have events and a festival for our parks and community. The impact and value that they bring to the table is immeasurable. Nearly every event they do gets bigger and better each year. The Friends of the Park continues to look for events and activities to host and improve the parks. They provide a lot of the programming and activities and events for the park that I could not provide without them. The farmer's market was added in 2025, and we will continue to work on improvements and expanding that farmer's market. All I can say is that group makes my job a lot easier, and the things they bring to the table. I'll give you a little update here in a minute on the kind of the dollar contributions, but that's a wonderful group, and we don't recognize them enough. So I just wanted to make that part of the statement. I felt that it needed to be included.
And having a Friends of the Park member on our board, that comes from all of us. We all see, we have our own impact as a parks board, but it wouldn't be able to be done without you and all the other volunteers for it. So thank you very, very much. And
Yeah.
please pass along our appreciation to all of them. I tell them as I see them, but as a
Right.
whole, please make sure they understand how much we appreciate and understand how much is done because of their willingness to get out and fundraise and help host these events.
Well, like we said last night at the meeting, it's a pleasure working with Superintendent Hunter, so he makes our job easy to work hard for him.
And I think he feels, from what I've heard, I think he feels the same way about the Friends of the Park.
Yeah,
That you definitely make a great team.
thank you.
So, going forward, enough of what we did in the last year. I thought it was important to talk about my future needs, and I'll address that with the council going forward, and hope to have lengthy discussion about how we can make some of these things possible. But some of the concerns I have is paving of the Red Bridge parking lot. It's really deteriorating and needs attention. That's gonna cost, I think, around $120,000 to $140,000 if we redo that lot. And quite frankly, I don't know how we'll come up with that money, but I'm confident that we can work through that with the council and come up with a plan to get that done in the future. We need to replace the skid steer, which is now 25 years old, and a couple of people have heard me say this for a long time, but I'm hoping we can come up with a plan to get that replaced, and whether it's a lease or an outright purchase or something, we'll work on a plan for that, because that's a very expensive ticket item for us. The library pavilion, we need to figure out, if we do acquire that property, some of the costs going forward and how to deal with that. The roof alone is gonna need a replacement in a couple of years or soon, and that's gonna cost somewhere around $8,000 to replace that roof. That's just a guess that I can come up with right now, but I think that's reasonably accurate. So we gotta work to figure out ways to take care of those things in the future. We need to think about repaving this path on Stringtown Pike, at least the north half of it. I did get an estimate last summer, and that's $55,000. Again, it's not something I have in my budget, so I've gotta try to work with the council and come up with a way to do that. And overall, I just have concerns about the future and budget concerns and sustainability. In 2025, I had to make a major cut in the middle of my budget cycle, just to finish out the year. So I think that's important, and I'm hoping to have a big part of my conversation with the council next week on how we can fund some of those items going forward and go from there. Then last but not least, under this update, is the grant opportunities. I feel like we need to address as many grants as we can and reach out and take advantage of the grant opportunities that we get brought to us. But some of the things we need to, I think, need to have high up on the priority list would be the erosion in the cove area down by the marina. And I'm hoping that we can apply for that grant this year through the LWCF. I'd like to focus on some of the playground equipment and replacement. Much of what we have throughout the parks is old and needs attention. The Red Bridge Master Plan, I would like to talk more in depth with the council and even this body to figure out what part of that we can, if any, that we can pursue this year, and how that might look in the overall future. And then just in general, I'm looking to get more direction and any priorities or thought process that the council has, or even this body, on what you or the council what direction they want me to be pushing. If my goals and my visions align with theirs, and that to me is pretty important to keep that on track. So that's really all I have in the form of an update. If you go to the next sheet though, I sent this information out to a couple people and was asked to come up with some type of a dollar amount or a value. I'll just let you look at that, the top half of that, and all the different donations that I just mentioned. There's a couple on there where the star was donation, partial labor donation, the camera installation was donated, things like that. But if you add all those up and those donations, they come up to $109,500 in 2025. I'm really happy with that number. I had never added those up myself, but it's a pretty significant number for donations and contributions from other people. I'll move on down. We also have the sponsorship program that we started 3 years ago. This will be the 3rd year of it, where we reached out and we got 13 sponsors from different businesses. They all donate $1,000 a year, which generates $13,000 a year, and all that money stays at the ballparks in the non-reverting fund and gets committed back and stays for improvements at the ball fields, which did help us tremendously in seed and fertilizer and the concrete project. And so this year we're gonna look to, and last year in 2024, we used a lot of that money to restone a lot of the areas, and then also to buy more field mix. But we also replaced all the baseline fences at the old ball fields there along Stringtown, and really made a big impact on that complex or that facility. But I thought it was just important to show that we've got that money coming in all the year. And most importantly, that please don't hold these to exact numbers, because they're just estimates on my part. I did not go back and line item by line item look at every single detail, but these are very close and as accurate as I can be. Last but not least, these numbers don't reflect any of the contributions from Lights of Morse or the Friends of the Parks. Neither of these groups fall within the scope or realm of my responsibilities. However, my staff and I work closely with these groups to ensure their success as well as the town of Cicero. So the last document I have, and I did not pass out to you, because I wanted to put it in perspective. We talked about this last night at our Friends of the Park meeting. I wanted to show you just kind of the contributions that the Friends of the Park comes forward with every year. And throughout the year, the Friends of the Park bought some materials and made reimbursements, but we also bought benches for downtown, and we bought some other benches out across the pedestrian walkway. The Friends of the Park donated $5,000 toward the concrete work that was done back at the ball fields. They donated $5,000 toward the community park trail paving that was put in place. They bought the 2 benches that I spoke of. I think we put those in the park, and then we put 2 more out on the pedestrian walkway. They paid $400 to help with the employee picnic that was done for the town there to shelter this summer. They bought tools for the Parks Department at $400. They put $4,500 toward the other trail paving project that we did. They donated $2,000 from our spaghetti dinner that they did to the police department, and an additional $2,000 to the fire department. And they paid $700 to purchase Christmas lights throughout the park that were part of the Christmas festival. That number alone in contributions from the Friends of the Park for 2025 adds up to $24,321.97. And that's all I have. You don't have to write all that. I tried to warn you.
I have a comment for you, Superintendent, and it has to do with your skid steer. If you, since my background was in capital equipment leasing and finance, if you have other departments within the town that also require any kind of equipment replacements that they do not want to pay cash for, it would be a great idea to bundle them up, even if there's different vendors, but you need to talk to like the streets and utility people and whatever, and come up with a list, maybe a laundry list of capital equipment needs that you all have. And I'd be more than happy to help you work on that. And I will investigate the best deals. If you give me the names of the vendors who you're interested in, I'll contact them. But I just need a complete list and an idea of what you're all looking for.
I'll check with Terry and see if he has anything on his list
Okay.
for this year.
Seriously.
Thank you.
And I can tell you from experience that the cheapest route for you to go on a year-by-year basis as far as outflow of cash goes would be a lease, because it would give you a balloon payment at the end of the lease, which you can either opt to pay to own the equipment in full,
Right.
or you can return the equipment and turn around and lease new equipment. Generally, you're talking about a 5 to 7 year lease, depending on the life of the collateral, whatever it happens to be. But if if you're working with a 25-year-old skid steer right now, I would say that they love to work with municipalities and with towns as far as equipment purchases go, and I'd be happy to work with you on that. Seriously,
Did you have any experience with GSA pricing and
yes.
that? Okay. Good. I'll get with Terry and ask him and we'll see.
Okay.
I don't know if he has anything on the list to replace or purchase this year or not. So that's all I have.
So Superintendent Hunter, on your future needs, so on your parking lot, so if you did nothing today, so what do you think you're looking at before it gets to what you would consider it's exceeded its life expectancy and people would not be happy driving on it? Is that when do you think, from talking to Terry, and I know he grades streets and things, but you know, is that you think you got 3 more years at the max, or do you have any idea at this point?
I really wouldn't want to speculate. It seems like the parking lot changed a lot
Can I ask
just
you a
this summer.
question?
Yes.
Have you had Terry do his rating on the parking lot?
I asked him if he could do that for me, and he will do that, but he said, I can already tell you before I go out there, it's gonna be a very poor grade. So, as far as I know, he hasn't physically went out there and filled out the little sheets with all the criteria, but he sees it every time he goes out there for a meeting, so he knows what we're looking at, so. And I don't know, maybe we don't have to pave it all at once, maybe we can just pave the north end, or maybe we can pave the drive down to it later. The main drive into the park is not as bad as the main parking area, so I really just need to get more information from Terry and then try to put together more effective cost, and so we can try to come up with a plan.
Well, I think that's why I was asking, but you answered the question I was going to ask next. If it's $140,000 and you think you got a 4-year life, could you do $30,000 or $40,000 a year and try to get it to where you need to be before it's? So it sounds like you're already working on that.
It's something I'm certainly willing to entertain, but I know if I break it out in 3 or 4 parts, it's only gonna cost more.
Sure.
And
Tend-
workforce.
Yeah.
tend to get much better pricing when we do it all at once, so.
Sure.
But I'm just in the initial phase or steps of it right now. I just know it's something that a year or 2 ago, it really wasn't very high on my priority list, and it's climbing higher and higher.
Well, I think the other thing is on your trail along Streamtown, you got other trails as well you got to be concerned about. Trying to figure out how we can do a maintenance program on your trails So it doesn't come up that it's a $55,000 at one point of maybe, you know, you can do do a trail at a time or something, once you get everything up to where you want it to be, where you can budget every year that you have dollars that you can fix your trails or whatever you need to do to those.
And I've got 15,000 in my budget as a line item for every year for trail maintenance. And we've been using almost all of that money each year for crack filling and seal coating and things like that. We have not used any of that money for the paving of the new sections or anything like that. It's all been used for the maintenance and upkeep, and so something we got to do a better job and try to see what that number looks like.
Well, I don't think it's that necessarily you haven't done a good job, but over the years, you know, sometimes, and I'm not saying this ever happened, but things get neglected, and eventually you've got to get them back to where they need to be in order to maintain them, and I guess just trying to figure out what that might look like so you're not in a situation where you're going to have to go in and do such a big project at one time.
What I probably need to do and should do is get with Mr. Cooper and see if he can grade all of our trails for us, and then grade them on an annual basis when he does the rest of the roads. The south half of the Stringtown Trail is still in pretty good shape, but it was done several years after the first half. So the north end
right.
from the park south down past the Christian Church to Voss Hyatt was the very first section that was ever done, and that clearly is the section that's in the worst condition. We did 21 different repairs where Ferris Paving dug those areas out, saw cut them, cut out the bad spots, the wide cracks, and repaved those areas. So much better shape now than we were in the summer, but I just know it's something we need to address in the future.
And on your grant opportunities, and I apologize for talking so much, but I started making notes and thinking about it as we worked through it. So for the Red Bridge Park Master Plan, and I know if each of us sat here today, we'd probably have a potentially different idea of what might be a priority. So would it be any benefit of you putting maybe your top 5 priorities and saying this is what I think the 5 priorities that I'd like to see done outside of the erosion, because that erosion was a monster in itself, needless to say. And then, you know, maybe at that point say, you know, what would the board like to see? What do you think out of the 5 would be the top priority? And maybe that's even an approach to use with the council.
Absolutely.
I like that idea, Dan, too.
I will make a note in my documents for the staff meeting to try to make sure we talk about that.
So let me add one other thing. So you had a lot of work that your staff did, and I know they get paid, so, but for the amount of work they do outside of that, though, I think it would be interesting and I'll use the tree at Red Bridge Park. You know, it's a savings to the town of $4,000. So maybe as you're working through your process of what those savings would actually be on a yearly basis, because I thought it was very interesting the amount of money that outside of all the great work they do, that they donated, you know, $24,321. I would have never guessed that money. I don't think any of us have any concept of how much savings that your staff does for the town. I know you saved a lot of money here by wiring and a lot of things that Paul did. So I think those are a huge benefit to the town, that maybe as you're working through next year, you could just sort of keep track of some of those.
Okay.
I mean, you could earmark those as each a separate special project that's outside of the purview of the exact Parks Department and what your duties and responsibilities are there and theirs as well, but that would be a great idea.
I can try to work on that as we go and keep some type of a monthly.
One little
run.
notebook on the side.
Well, I keep somewhat of a notebook now,
Yeah.
so that's how I kind of built this list to
Gotcha.
begin with.
Gotcha.
But, you know, and one example of what Dan's speaking to is the fence that we spent $5,000 on there is absolutely no doubt in my mind, if I had paid a contractor to do it, it would have been 20,000. And so my staff saved us a lot of money. It is truly incredible the amount of work that Paul and Mike Lynch and the other staff are able to do and willing to do without having to pay contractors. It just truly is remarkable what they do and how much money they've been able to save us. Not just here, but even in this building last summer and a couple summers ago when we were replacing the carpet and things like that. And we paid for the carpet to be replaced, but Paul and Dennis painted the inside of this building and did all that. And Paul did the remodeling in the bathroom project in here. And so we got that bathroom redone for probably, I don't know, less than $1,000. So I'm hoping he doesn't retire anytime soon.
Well, I got to thinking about it because of the glass that you installed at the municipal building. You know, that you told me that it probably would have cost $800 to have that installed. And I'm guessing, you know, with your staff doing it, that we saved $600 after their labor.
Yeah.
So, you know, I just started thinking about those things, and I don't think we understand the amount of savings of some of the things that your staff's doing to benefit the community as a whole.
See if I can't try to keep some type of a general running number of that stuff.
Thank you.
To piggyback off that, I can't thank your staff enough. I've had this talk with you online and offline. Between you, Sarah, and all your laborers down, one of the most willing departments within the town, and I thank you for that. Going back to the parking lot, while I understand it may have to be pieced together, would say 50% of the time would be ideal if we had to piece it. And I guess my standpoint is if we try to move forward with any kind of Red Bridge master plan and any kind of upgrade, we have to make sure that the foundation to which we are upgrading is set and ready to go. So thank you for looking into that, and thank you for getting the ball rolling to where even if it is a 2-year project, to even obtain funding to move forward, we started now. I also want to know, while I know that you have willing donors for whether it be money, material, labor, knocking at your door asking how they can help, that doesn't just happen. So thank you for reaching out and turning an opportunity of, I've always joked, you're the only man I know that can turn $100 into $10,000 worth of donations, and that has helped a lot. So thank you for putting the work into the projects themselves and also reaching out to these vendors and contractors and taking that extra effort to gain as much as we possibly can from it. I think $110,000 is amazing for a town of our size to get that much in donation. So thank you very much.
I've enjoyed it.
All right, now that that short stint is over, let's move to the fun stuff. FOP bingo at the community building.
Next Thursday, February 12th, at Red Bridge, and doors open at 6. Bingo starts at 6:30. We have lots of great prizes. Taco bar, food and drinks. We're gonna pack the house again.
I bet we do.
Yeah.
Hey,
On a non-meeting night. Even better.
Yeah.
on a side note, as part of that, I meant to tell you guys last night and I didn't. I got sidetracked. But we recently purchased 52 more of the black plastic chairs at Red Bridge because we didn't have enough, and but we eliminated all the brown metal folding chairs. So a lot. When we set up for the big meeting out there Tuesday night, I thought the room looked really nice and uniform, and so we now, I just think we eliminated all the old brown metal chairs. So we'll buy a few more when we get a little more funding and go from there.
Very good.
And thank you for that, because I would concur. walking into the building, it was certainly nice to see all the black chairs set up and everything else, and we didn't have a hodgepodge of chairs, and people wanting to move the ones around that didn't have the seat cushions on them, and getting away from the metal ones. So no, that was a nice touch, so thank you for taking care of that.
Thank you.
And for your assistance, always helping me set up that room, so.
Everyone's backside thanks you.
Well, I have always joked that if the council had to sit in the same chairs we do, the meetings would be a lot shorter.
I think, as I watch what you guys have done, as you've come together as a park board, it has been impressive to watch it grow. I think all of the donations, and that's the reason I asked you to quantify it, is I thought it was significant, and I think it shows, in particular, how you live this life, you plant seeds and you leave the doors of communication open, and people come back to you and say, this is how I can help. And I probably encourage each of us, me included, as we live our lives, when you're out there, people ask what you do. Don't take this as being something you brush aside, well, I work over here. But talk about this, because you never know when you plant a seed where those grow from. You guys, this is impressive. Over nearly $110,000 and more than that in savings that you've given to the town by your staff. Nothing but good things, and I think now that we've got Amy coming in and pursuing some grants, I think that is a very nice thing. I do think we need the big picture, especially around Red Bridge, especially with the erosion thing and the parking lot that's coming, and we probably need to keep that, because my mind goes away from it, but to keep that 5 and 10-year plan close to us and say, how can we push this? Because although money, you presented in your paper here that you did have to make budget cuts in 2025, and significant ones for you. So, and you still did an outstanding job as a whole. So thank you all for that.
Thank you.
Does anybody else have anything they would like to add under miscellaneous? Very good. Our next meeting will be March 5th, 2026, 5 p.m. here at Town Hall. And with that, I would entertain a motion to adjourn.
Second?
All those in favor? Aye.
Aye.
All those opposed? And with that, we are adjourned.
Let the record know that Susan's last vote was aye.
Well, Susan, I sure hate to see you go.